Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the show. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing at the Polderbaan. It is Thursday, January 25th, 2024, and another day of arrivals is expected over here. Right now, Polderbaan, runway 18 right is the only runway being used for arrivals, and runways 18 left and 24 are being used for departures. There's hardly any wind. 6-knot wind, 200 degrees according to the latest METAR, but I don't feel any wind at all at the moment. 4 degrees Celsius. Some rain and a frontal area of rain is expected later in the day, around the afternoon. Around noon, beginning of the afternoon, it is expected to arrive from the west, but for the time being, the upcoming hours should stay dry. Our first airplane to arrive, SAS Flight 821, arriving from Oslo. A320neo. What's it look like right now? Well, the water is like a mirror. If you look to the east and also to the southeast, you can see the sun is out. Clouds are moving in. Looking to the south, looking to the west, there are tractors once again in the land, plowing and sowing. Another tractor further ahead. Also looks like construction is taking place around the runway. This is on the platform area. And our first big jet of the show is Delta Airlines Flight 162, arriving from Minneapolis, A330neo. That is 2 years old, first flight January 2022. So this airplane celebrating its second birthday this month. Next up is going to be Delta Airlines Flight 136, Delta A330-300, arriving from Detroit. Still a bit out. Gives me time to give you guys a little briefing. Starting off with the weather. This is the weather radar for the upcoming 3 hours. So we should stay dry at least until 12:30. Probably 1 o'clock, if not later, which gives us time to see the arrival of this airplane over here. The Emirates A380 is expected today around 10 to 1. The first quad squad member to arrive is going to arrive from Germany. This is a Cargolux B744 arriving from Nairobi. Expected in half an hour or so from now. There is a Saudia cargo B747-400 behind it, arriving from Jeddah, is expected in an hour from now. We also have a 747 arriving from the west, and that is the Cargolux retro livery, once again visiting us with that nice black nose tip. Black nose tip. Still early here, arriving from Miami, expected in 15 minutes from now. So that's a nice dense pack of 747s that are expected in an hour or so from now. METAR, a little bit of wind from the south, handful of knots, nothing to write home about. No significant clouds are observed. In other words, boring. But that's good for a change. We've had enough storms already this season. I believe the number is 7 or 5, I'm not sure, a lot. Runway usage, we are standing right here. Also the only runway at the moment in use for arrivals. Good morning everybody who has tuned in already. Hope everybody is doing well. Behind the A330 from Delta is a 777-200 from KLM. KLM Flight 644 arriving from New York JFK. And is that an arrival or is that a departure? No, that's a departure going to Gdansk. KLM Flight 1917 passing overhead. This was Delta Airlines Flight 136, having arrived from Detroit, Michigan. 16-year-old airplane, first flight July 2007. So, 2 tractors in the field. The one I already showed you, doing some sowing and plowing. There is another one, and it's not as big of a seagull fest as it was the other day, but definitely the seagulls know where the action is, where they need to be to get some food, fresh worms. KLM Flight 644 is what we are looking at right now. 777-200 arriving from New York City. It's one of those days where I have to click on the label early, otherwise I'm not able to see the flight time. This one I don't see the flight time of anymore, but 6 to 6.5 hours is what they typically need to cross the pond from JFK to AMS. The airplane is 20 years old, first flight September 2003. Nice wheelie. Next up, KLM BA Flight 2540. This is an Airbus A320 arriving from London Gatwick. Current flight time 39 minutes, that is nominal. The airplane is 21 years old, the first flight was in October 2002. And the first CRJ of the day is also nearing. We'll be approaching the glide slope from the right, somewhere in the distance. The question is, will we be able to pick up on it? As you guys can see, it is a bit hazy looking to the north. Not sure how far we can see ahead. And if we can see the arrival of the CRJ in the background. Let's see, Airbus A319 arriving from London Gatwick, also coming this way. From the other side. Fireworks being set off behind me. Happy New Year, everybody. Apache helicopter. Now that's something you don't see every day. They're coming for me. It is an Apache, isn't it? Damn it, don't have my digital zoom enabled. But it is turning this way, or at least it looks like it. Yeah, can see the gun. That is an Apache. Right, well, an Apache. There you go, folks. In the meantime, the culprit of the fireworks that you might have picked up on, standing over there, bird control vehicle. In the meantime, a 2-airplane glide slope shot with the first airplane, a CRJ-900 Lufthansa flight 988 arriving from Frankfurt. And flap tip vortices visible on many airplanes already. Tells you something about the relative humidity. First butt shot of the day incoming. Next up, EasyJet flight 28673, Airbus A319, 40 minutes of flight time to arrive from London Heathrow to where it is right now. The airplane is 14 years old. Its first flight was in October 2009. Alright, next up, American Airlines Flight 204, arriving from Philadelphia, 7878 Dreamliner. Left of it, another airplane in the distance. That would be... China Cargo Airlines Flight 209, 777, arriving from Shanghai. That one definitely has the potential to get loud. Behind it is a Dreamliner lining up, arriving from Curacao. TUI fly. First up, American Airlines Flight 204, arriving from Philadelphia. Boeing 7878. 7 years old, first flight January 2017. And an isolated goose flying overhead, which you might have heard just now. In the meantime, a very good morning to everybody who has joined us in the meantime. You're watching AMS Live, my name is Boy. I'm sharing the Polderbaan today with the Marechaussee, the military police, and on the left we have pilot Sander HD. Right, practical is exam, reversing, and I think the driver passed the test. Now, we saw an Apache helicopter just now. In case you missed it, I think it was about 10 minutes or so ago. Of course, I will highlight the passage after I'm done streaming, as I always do with the highlights. Harry is also here, Harry the Heron. For a minute there I was thinking it might have been Jesus walking over the water, but he is wading through the water in and not over it. Optical illusion, or maybe me just not being fully awake just yet. This is China Cargo Airlines Flight 209, arriving from Shanghai. 777 freighter, flight time 10 hours and 59 minutes. The airplane 2 years old, just turned 2 last month. First flight was in December 2021. These 777s seldomly disappoint when it comes to making noise. Now, we saw the military police pass by just now. There's also the regular police over here. There's almost more police over here than regular people. There is a pedestrian. Saw the gentleman walk the other way earlier as I was setting up. Apparently, his morning walk consists of walking up and down Polderbaan along the cycling path this morning. Did that myself as well a couple of times. Nice journey, about an hour or so. 2.5 kilometers up and 2.5 kilometers down. And some nice action along you. Second airplane already visible in the distance with the landing lights. The first airplane here is TUI flight 703, returning from Willemstad, Curaçao, one of the ABC islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, just off the coast of Venezuela. The 7878 Dreamliner is 9 years old. First flight was in November 2014. As you guys can see, mostly high clouds covering the sky. There's an area of precipitation that is expected to enter from the west later in the day. The upcoming hours are going to stay dry. Russell is also present, sitting on his throne. Winds are calm. The water over here is like a mirror. Although, if you look in the distance, you do see some movement in the chimney smoke, and it's not rising vertically. So there's definitely a little bit of wind, but over here where I am standing, it feels like there is no wind at all. Our next airplane is a Boeing A319 arriving from Florence. Has taken this airplane 2 hours and a minute to get from Florence to where it is right now. The airplane is 16 years old already. The first flight of this airplane was back in January 2007. Behind it is KLM Flight 1224, 737-800, returning from Paris Charles de Gaulle. If you look at the orientation of the airplane, you'd say that there is a bit more crosswind on the altitude that the airplane now is flying at, compared to directly on ground level where I'm standing. And the Spanish butt shot is coming in. Let's see. We might get to see another airplane arriving on the glide slope in the background. That would be Air Arabia Maroc arriving from Nador. Not sure if we are able to see it. Positioning of airplanes is not always completely accurate with real time on flight radar. Fortunately, we didn't get to see it, but we are seeing nice cables emanating from the flap tips. Wing flap tip vortices, indicative of high relative humidity. Again, a warm welcome to everybody who has joined in the meantime. Hope everybody is doing well. Over here, nice morning, nice and quiet, nice and calm. Got a couple of 747s underway. Let's have a look and see where they are in the meantime. So, well, while we're at it, let's have another look at runway usage. We are standing right here, Polderbaan, at the moment the only runway being used for arrivals. Right, the first of the three 747s is already in Dutch airspace. The second one is flying just west of London. The third one is flying in the east of Germany. These three 747s are all expected within the next hour. The Emirates A380 is expected 5 minutes to 1. Game plan is to stick around at least until the A380 has landed. And depending on what traffic is coming immediately behind it, immediately after it, we could also stay a little longer perhaps, but on average it's getting more quiet after A380, so also need to keep an eye out for what the weather is going to do. Obviously at some point some drizzle is going to begin falling, although each time I've checked the weather radar so far, it seems to indicate only later in the afternoon will that begin. Air Arabia Maroc arriving from Nador in Morocco is this. Is this a no reversal landing? I think it was. Right, Arabic butt shot, here we go. Right, now it's time for big boys. As Jack already mentioned. In fact, let's do a glide slope shot of two Delta Airlines Flight 74 A350-900 in the foreground. In the background, KLM Flight 741 arriving from Cartagena. That's the 747-8. No, sorry, 747, 787-10. Get my digits straight. And there is a Qatar 777 in the distance somewhere, just on the west side of the glide slope, i.e. on the left side, making its way to the glide slope. Don't think we're going to catch them all three in the same shot, unfortunately. So let's focus on the first airplane, Delta Airlines Flight 74, arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. Alas, I was too late again with pressing on the label, so I'm not sure what the flight time was or is so far. The airplane is 7 years old, wing fluff over the top foil of the wings, beautiful. What a lovely landing. And thank you, John, who chimes in that the flight time was 7 hours and 20 minutes. There's this randomness in my flight radar app that on some days I can click on the label shortly before landing and I still see the flight time, and on other days I really need to be early and otherwise I'm not able to see the flight time. I think it has to do with the fact that the app is in split screen with the chat window that I also have open on my phone, and on some days it picks it up, the flight time, and on other days it doesn't. Let's see if maybe increasing the window to 2/3 and then, or 75%, I don't know exactly how much it is, and then going back. Let's see if that's maybe a workaround. Nope, don't see the flight time. The rest of the details I do see. This is KLM Flight 741, 787-10 Dreamliner, returning from Cartagena. Good news, by the way. Yesterday I got an email from the store that I sent my old camera back to for repairs, which then got sent to Canon, and they fixed it. And I'm expecting an email pretty soon that I can pick it up again. So that was a pleasant surprise. Happened a lot faster than I thought it would. Up next, Qatar Cargo in a special livery moved by people. Looking at the pictures on Flight Radar, that looks like a very nice livery. Don't recall having seen this one in real life before. Qatar Cargo Flight 8156, arriving from Panama City. Flight time 9 hours and 21 minutes. A 9-year-old airplane that had its first flight in September of the year 2014. And looks like we'll have to wait a little bit after that. Seems that an E2 Embraer is now arriving from the east. That looks like it's going to be the next airplane after this one. Moved by people, incentivized by numbers. And indeed, Mrs. Professor, it does seem to be still under warranty. Otherwise, I would have first gotten an indication of how much I would have to pay. And I never got that. They just informed me that they were busy on repairing it and they were expecting an update soon. And yesterday I got the news that the repair has been done and should be sent back to the store anytime now. So I'm assuming it's going to be under warranty. They wouldn't go ahead with a repair and send me an invoice without first getting my permission to go ahead with it. So lucky break there. Now behind me there's an E2 Embraer making its way over and is now turning onto the glide slope. KLM Flight 1352 returning from Prague, from the Czech Republic. Let me also have a visual look. Do see some lights still far away. Now, oh, nice departure from runway 24. The firefighters have already done their round. I already saw them testing their equipment, which they always do after their round when I was walking up here. So I suppose they were early today. Quite some activity going on the other side of the runway over here. Ah, is that the house for airplane spotters? That would be nice. There's actually quite a few trucks over here doing stuff. I'm not sure exactly what. Picking up dirt or something. No, there's another crane-like unit coming over there. with a trailer. Didn't know they could tow stuff as well, but apparently they can. Alright, now let's turn back to the E2, which has arrived close by. KLM flight 1352 arriving from the Czech Republic, from Prague. And I can still see the flight time on this one. It's the exception defining the rule. This is now airborne for 1 hour and 20 minutes on this flight. It's a brand new airplane. The first flight of this airplane was in July 2023. In the background, we could also see an airplane take off from 18 left. Which makes for a nice picture. With the morning cloudy backdrop. Alright, turning back to the north, our next airplane is an MNG A300-600. No DHL, but MNG Airlines, flight 9406, arriving from Istanbul. Flight time 3 hours and 32 minutes on this one. Alright, strap yourselves in. This airplane is 29 years old. First flight was in May 1994. Right, what were you doing back then? I was in elementary school, I think, last year. Was that last year? May? Yeah, and then in fall, went to high school or middle school. The one you go to after elementary school. Hey, Jean-Yves! Salut mon ami! That's been a while. Hope you're doing well, mate. Right, MNG A300. And left of it at 9 o'clock. The next airplane, KLM flight 758, arriving from Panama City, another 787-10. I'm also seeing the 747, the first of 3, expected in the next hour, making its way over to Alkmaar. It's going to be the number 2 after the current number 2. With an Embraer 175 being sandwiched in between the 747 and the 787-10 Dreamliner. First up, MNG Airlines A300-600 from 1994. And a butt shot to boot. That's a nice bonus. Indeed, Adrian. Now, looking at the Klokje Rond videos of the car magazine Auto Week in the Netherlands, and you see what kind of cars are still driving around, apparently having passed the MOT. I think the MNG is probably going to be just fine. Now, this AMS Live logo, or at least an approximation of it, yeah, not exactly the same curvature. It's a special livery. It's got the KLM 100 years on the side with the toothpaste swoosh, as people have referred to it. Motorcycle shifting up and down. You probably heard that as well. This is KLM Flight 758 arriving from Panama City, 78710 Dreamliner, the KLM 100 years special livery. Touchdown after 9 hours and 17 minutes of flight time. For some reason I now once again see flight times even when pressing later. Vraag niet hoe het kan, maar profiteer ervan is what my geography teacher would always say in high school. Don't ask how or why, just profit because of it. Doesn't translate that well. It rhymes in Dutch, but it doesn't in English. The airplane, 4 years old, first flight June 2019. Next up, a little appetizer before the first queen, number 175. KLM Flight 1954, arriving from Zurich. Flight time 1 hour and 16 minutes. 7-year-old airplane, first flight May 2016. Ah, morning Big Al. Back home again, not in the heat of Orlando anymore. Good morning, Georgios. Good to see you again. All other viewers who have joined us in the meantime as well, good morning. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We are standing at the Polderbaan, runway 18 right. Currently the only runway being used for arrivals. Hardly any wind. What wind there is blowing from the south mostly. At the moment dry, no significant clouds. 4 degrees Celsius. Just a touch under 50 Fahrenheit. The first of 3 queens in the next hour on the glide slope. Now number 2 behind an Embraer 175 from KLM. Wind is so calm you can even see the reflection of the airplane in the water quite nicely. Quick look at the touchdown. Probably not going to be anything exciting or something. Just confirm it lands safely and then it is back to the Queen. Right, nose gear down, end of story. Here we go. Right, the first of 3 queens in the next hour. This is Cargolux flight 2613, operated by Cargolux Italia. We're going to see the retro Cargolux later, arriving from Miami, Florida, on its way within the next hour. Stay tuned for that. That's definitely a beautiful livery. This one is the Cargolux Italia livery, arriving from Nairobi, a 747-400, flying now for 9 hours and 10 minutes to get from Nairobi to where it is right now. The airplane has been flying in total now for 16 years, since July 2007. That's what I'm talking about. That was a nice, loud landing, beautiful. Hope your speakers and your eardrums are still working. Now, and a big thank you to John for just now gifting an AMS Live membership. Kenny just got gifted the membership. Welcome to the Aurora, the Sky Lounge, Kenny, and a big thank you once again to John for just now gifting an AMS Live membership. Now Her Majesty still has the flaps down. Let's see if we can see them retract. That's what they're doing right now. Boom. Meanwhile, over in the fields, sowing still very much in progress. And another seagull party over there. Fresh land means fresh worms having surfaced. And in the meantime, a 3-airplane glide slope shot. Look at that, beautiful. With the first airplane on the glide slope being Lufthansa Flight 2302, a CRJ-900 arriving from Munich. This airplane departed from Munich an hour and 18 minutes ago. CRJ-900 long range, 14 years old. The first flight of this airplane was in May 2009. Yo, what the F? What are you doing, Jackie? Mate, was that a typo? What the F are you doing? That is so unnecessary, mate. 50 memberships gifted just now by Jackie. Not sure if that was intentional or if that was a zero accidentally too much. Mate, thank you so much. If you are one of the 50 recipients, don't forget to say dankjewel Jackie. Holy cow. Mate. That is insane. Thank you so much, Jackie. And don't forget to thank Jackie if you are one of the recipients of the 50 memberships Jackie just now gifted. Holy cow. Mate, you really shouldn't have. You're doing more than enough as a moderator already. Really uncalled for. Not that I'm ungrateful, thank you so much, but you guys are all doing more than enough already as moderators as it is already. Mate. Well, welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those 50 new members. Did have a look yesterday. Unfortunately, the expirations go faster than the new additions. Even with these 50 new members, we're still probably not at the threshold to add a new custom emoji. But I'm pretty sure that at some point we are going to get another addition. Now, there are 2 more 747s expected in the next hour. Not seeing the first just yet. A couple of narrow bodies first. The first one being Air Malta, A320neo arriving from Malta, flight 394. Oh, and now the flight time is no longer mentioned. Probably around 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Brand new airplane, first flight February 2023, so next month it is celebrating its first birthday. Nee, no in Dutch. The 9H nee. All right. Maltese butt shot. Seen. Quickly pan back for the touchdown of the next 737 KLM flight 1228. One of the many flights between London and Paris Charles de Gaulle. It was interesting the other day at runway 27 when it was so windy and they had headwind of all types of wind. The couple of the 737s and also the Embraers of KLM used their reversers quite heavily. It was clearly audible, while over here they hardly ever use them. Now, 2 airplanes in the pipeline. First one being the 737-700 from Tarom, arriving from Bucharest. 737-900 from Tel Aviv, arriving from El Al, arriving from Tel Aviv behind it. Now, this little Tarom 737-700 is in the SkyTeam livery. Nice livery, but you really have to look closely to see what airplane, what carrier it is, because they all look the same due to that SkyTeam livery. So it does say Tarom just after the front doors, looking at the picture on flight radar. After the El Al 737-900, the next airplane, a flock of birds in the top left corner. And behind it is Turkish flight 1951, an Airbus A332-200. And a CRJ on its way back to the north. Overhead, having departed from runway 24 presumably. LO, flight 337, 737-900, having arrived from Tel Aviv. 7 years old, this airplane, first flight February 2016. And a warm welcome to everybody who has joined the show. You're watching AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing at the Polderbaan, runway 18 right. Currently the only runway in use for arrivals. Bird control vehicle K2, a Ford Ranger Raptor over there, patrolling. And the next airplane to arrive is Turkish flight 1951. Now, I was saying the only runway in use for arrivals, the Polderbaan, but in the meantime, looking on flight radar and in the distance, the first airplane to the center runway is also coming this way. So it's going to be an hour of parallel arrivals then. In the meantime, a very big thank you to Jeffrey, who just now gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much for that, Jeffrey. That is very much appreciated. And if you are one of the 10 recipients of the memberships that Jeffrey just now gifted, don't forget to say thank you to Jeffrey. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those new members. Be sure to use the custom emojis now at your disposal whenever you feel like it. And once again, Jeffrey, thank you so much. Now, Turkish Airlines arriving from Istanbul. Apparently today it takes a bit longer to get to Amsterdam from Istanbul than on average. Normally it's around 3 hours. A couple of flights that I've seen now today, including this one, are all approaching 3.5 hours. So either they have to take a detour for some reason, or they have a lot of headwinds. That looks like a Chinese triple that will soon pass overhead. And in the meantime, parallel arrivals in progress. The first airplane to runway center. Now, before the next airplane to Polderbaan arrives, let's have another look at the big picture overview. Because I think, yeah. Right, so let's quickly go back to the glide slope then. I see that the retro Cargolux is already somewhere ahead, up ahead. Where is it? There it is. I was just about to have a look. There were a couple of 747 still expected, and I was wondering where they were, but not necessary to look any further. The second Queen is arriving. Another Cargolux, but this one in the retro livery. Beautiful airplane with a black tip nose. In the meantime, this 737-700 having arrived from London Heathrow, KLM flight 1002. Seven, presumably back to Shanghai. Right, let's turn back so that my cables don't get tangled. The triple's still visible over there. Overcast, but overcast due to high clouds and not low clouds. Next up, another TUI flight, this one from Bonaire, the B in the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Caribbean Islands just off the coast of Venezuela. This is TUI flight 365, 7878 Dreamliner, flight time no longer mentioned, glitch day on flight radar in my app. The airplane is 9 years old though, that I can see, and it began flying in May 2014. Nice colorful picture with the blue and the yellowish, orangey. Hard to define it. The backdrop. A330 I think it was, departing. Oh, and for the first time in the water, a couple of ripples. There you go. Wind seems to be picking up a little bit, ever so slightly. What's that? Okay. Is that an ambulance of sorts? Interesting. We'll need to keep an eye out for that. Qatar Dreamliner. Center, but there it is. It is the retro livery 747 of Cargolux, arriving from Miami, Florida. The 747-400ER, 17 years old, first flight July 2006. And again, wing fluff over the top foil of the wings, beautiful. Such a lovely airplane in this livery. Said it before, I'll say it again. I wish they did more retro liveries with those black nose tips. I think it looks better than most present day liveries. Bring the retro back. All right. Next up is Ryanair, arriving from Dublin. Flight 420, 737-800. Flight time 1 hour and 5 minutes. 6-year-old airplane. First flight April 2017. Now, often these 737s from Ryanair use their reverses quite loudly, so I'm hoping for a loud landing on this one. Behind it is Aeromexico Flight 25. And, well, the question is runway center open for arrivals or not? Because I'm not seeing any airplanes going to that runway anymore. So unfortunately not allowed landing on this one. Alright, I do see an SAS A320neo. Now on the glide slope to center. Thank you so much, Coach, for your kind words. And Ton says the 747 from Saudia assigned to Zwanenburg, the center runway. Not unexpectedly. Let me take this moment right away to re-enable digital zoom so that we can bring it close by when it is approaching. There we go. Next up, Aeromexico Flight 25, 7878 Dreamliner arriving from Mexico City, where it left from 9 hours 52 minutes ago. The airplane is 8 years old. The first flight was in August 2015. And after that, an EasyJet A319 arriving from Edinburgh, and there is an A320neo from SAS arriving from Stockholm, now on the glide slope for runway center. Mexico butt shot? Question mark? I think the answer is going to be yes. Oh, and Her Majesty in the background, beautiful. Nice combo shot. Right. Next airplane to arrive on Polderbaan, EasyJet A319 arriving from Edinburgh. Let's have another quick look at the big picture as I was trying to do before, but then I already saw one queen on the glide slope. There is another 747 expected in a few minutes. Saudia cargo has already been assigned to the center runway, not unexpectedly. And the Emirates A380 is flying over here. Still in Romanian airspace. The expected time of arrival is shortly before 1 p.m. Let's also do an update of the METAR. I will copy paste this into the ticker. CAV okay, ceiling and visibility are okay. Little bit of wind, just over 5 knots from the south mostly. 6 degrees Celsius, that is just over 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And the current runway configuration is parallel arrivals and the Kaagbaan open for departures. I will update the ticker after this landing. EasyJet flight 27836 arriving from Edinburgh. Flight time 1 hour and 3 minutes. 15-year-old airplane, first flight August 2008. Now, can we have a look in the cockpit with digital zoom and calm winds? That goes rather nicely. Better than I had anticipated. Can even have a look in the airplane with some additional digital zoom. Right, the glide slope shot gives me a few moments to update the ticker. Sorry? Hey, dankjewel man. Leuk dat je dat kijkt. Oh, awesome man. Dank je. Just got complimented by a passerby who almost always watches the streams and says I'm making good streams. Awesome to hear that. Hope you guys are all liking what you're seeing, of course. Right, I'm busy updating the ticker. Already updated the meter. Now I'm also still adjusting the current runway usage. There we go. Next up, going to center, Transavia flight 6610, returning to Amsterdam from Innsbruck in Tirol, 737-800. Departed from Innsbruck 1 hour and 27 minutes ago. This is a 5-year-old airplane that had its first flight in the year 2018 in December. Passing overhead, and what you might pick up on the mic is KLM flight 1109, 737 outbound Stockholm. Now the picture looks a bit pixely because I'm now using quite a lot of digital zoom on top of the optical zoom. Doesn't do the quality of the footage good, but it it does allow you to zoom in quite substantially. How far along are we zoomed in then? Well, let me zoom out fully. So far, quite substantially actually. Ita Azzurro on the glide slope for runway center right now. Ita Airways flight 120 arriving from Milano. Regular A320, flight time 1 hour 37 minutes. 15-year-old airplane, first flight October 2008. Now, in the meantime, there's an Embraer 190 from BA City Flyer on the glide slope to Polderbaan. Should be able to follow this airplane until the touchdown, I think. Moped on the cycling path will pass by momentarily. Alright, BA City Flyer flight AD451, Embraer 190, visiting Amsterdam from London City, as is always the case with the Embraer 190s. It's an Embraer 190 short range, 13 years old, first flight February 2010. Embraer 175 behind it, KLM flight 1516, arriving from Norwich. Lipstick plane from Norwegian, arriving from Stockholm, is flying parallel to the Embraer 175, after that is behind this airplane, going to runway center. Let's greet the pilots, shall we? Oh, that's an apt registration, LCY, which is also the airplane, the airfield this airplane was coming from. The man-made waterfall still running. You might pick up on it on the mic. That is an aalscholver in Dutch, cormorant, I think, in English. Again, I'm by no means a bird specialist. Alrighty, Embraer 175, KLM flight 1516, returning to Amsterdam from Norwich. 7-year-old airplane, first flight September 2016. 777 behind it. And that is the Unicef special livery by the looks of it. From Norwegian. Going to Roman Center. Arriving from Stockholm. Alrighty, our next airplane on the glide slope for Polderbaan is KLM flight 598 777-300ER, returning from South Africa from Cape Town, where it left from 11 hours and 3 minutes ago. Fireworks being set off behind me by the bird controllers. This airplane is 7 years old. The first flight was in May 2016. Again, wing fluff over the top foil, not as much as the airplanes had in the beginning of the stream. Then again, temperatures rising, which means that for the same amount of moisture in the air, the relative humidity is decreasing. Right. Two airplanes visible. The first one, KLM flight 1072, arriving from Manchester. The second one is an A321neo arriving from Boston. JetBlue flight 31. There's an Embraer 190 arriving from Stuttgart on the glide slope to runway center. Where is the Saudia? The Saudia is already on the glide slope for the center runway. Checking if I can see it already visually, but I cannot. The Embraer 190 going to center, not Chucky, but a regular German Airways Embraer 190. Right, this is KLM flight 1072 arriving from Manchester. 737-800, 10 years old, first flight May 2013. And again, a moment where we could see the flap tip vortices. Right. There is another queen coming, and she is unfortunately going to the center runway, but we can still see her quite well from over here. Saudia flight 933, Saudia cargo arriving from Jeddah. This plane has been flying now for 6 hours and 21 minutes to get to where it is right now. 28 years old, no less. First flight, January 1995. Looking quite pixelated because it is still quite far away. With the digital zoom, we can bring it a bit closer by, but it also gets more pixelated. So in the meantime, let's focus on the next airplane to Polderban. JetBlue flight 31 or 631 it says here. A321 Neo arriving from Boston, Massachusetts, where it left from 6 hours and 18 minutes ago. The airplane is 2 years old. The first flight was in August 2021. Now, I'm also getting a notification from PayPal. Just got notified that Jacobus Seip donated a very nice, substantial donation. Thank you so much, Jacobus. Hope you're watching this and hearing me, as I'm thanking you so much for that PayPal donation. Unfortunately, there's not a message that I can highlight when getting notified by that, but thank you so much, Jacobus. From one plane to the next, this is Saudia cargo, the 747 arriving from Jeddah. Flight 933, 28 years old, first flight January 1995. And it is doing a wheelie. Quite a substantial wheelie actually. Captain Showboat. Right, well, that was the third of 3 queens today. There is another big quad engine airplane coming in, the Emirates A380, which is expected around a couple minutes to 1 local time. Let's see, it is now 11:10, just past. So that is in 2 hours from now. In the meantime, Air France up, Embraer 170, having arrived from Lyon. Et un petit butt shot. Air France flight 1794. Next up is going to be KLM flight 1422, arriving from Birmingham, 737-900. The airplane 22 years old, first flight, September 2001, 9/11 month. When you put it like that, it feels like so long away already. Making this airplane quite old already. And Livia informing us that the A380 is above Hungary right now. Still underway. Not sure if it's going to land on the center runway or not. We've been lucky a couple of times last week, but yeah, you know how it goes. Luck sooner or later always runs out. Fingers crossed that it's going to land on Polderbaan. If it's not, then at least we can still see it decently. As you guys can see, even small airplanes you can make look quite big from over here without it getting too pixelated. Of course, it's not the best quality, but doable. Downside, of course, is that you don't hear the noises that well. And that is Cathay Pacific A350-1000 on the move. Probably going to 18 left then for departure. Let's see. 2 airplanes coming this way. The first one in the foreground, KLM flight 1050, arriving from Bristol. It is an Embraer 190 that has a raccoon look, so that is one of the German Airways rentals. Flight time no longer mentioned, but not too long. Hour maybe, even less. The Embraer is 16 years old, first flight January 2008. And doesn't seem to be flown by Captain Willie. Thank you, Koos. De aalscholver. Yeah, otherwise, in terms of bird life over here in the water, all is quiet. Well, with the exception of the heron that we saw earlier. Bird controller is here. Not many birds to control though. Water again, ripple free mostly. Also looking to the south, not much going on. And the vehicle with the flashlights on is still over there, coming this way by the looks of it. Hey, firefighters. Okay. Interesting. I thought they already did their round. They were already parked before in front of the fire station and were already testing the hoses. That's what they normally do after having done a round. So I assumed they already did their round, but apparently I was wrong. That is good news. Means that it is... Well, I'm hoping they're coming this way. Not sure. Are they going to do a different round? Let's see, they are... No, they're coming this way. Or did they... Are they returning from having done a round? A different round? That might also be the case. EasyJet A320neo. In the meantime, having landed here. Extremely rare airplane that you don't see very often over here. Another rarity over there. Transavia 737. That is Transavia flight 6592 returning from Salzburg. Maybe people who went skiing in Sabach Hinterglemm or Zellamzee. Or visitors of Salzburg, of course. Right. Our next airplane is coming this way. It is Iberia Express flight 3722. It's an A320 arriving from Madrid. Has been flying for 2 hours precisely according to flight radar to get to where it is right now from Madrid. The airplane, 21 years old, first flight February 2002. Has anybody looked into why we saw an Apache earlier this morning making a round around the airport perimeter? Just curious why it was here. I think they are stationed in Friesland, aren't they? So yeah, if you just tuned in and missed the beginning of the show, in the first hour I think we saw an Apache helicopter, flew relatively close by. I will timestamp the passage when I'm done streaming, listed in the highlights. Not sure what it was doing there, but it was lovely to see. You could even see the gun mounted below it, below the cockpit. Stationed in Gilzerijde. Okay. ITA Airways A320neo arriving from Rome, landing on center over there. Did the Apache crew land next to the McDonald's to grab a quick bite to eat? Right, they're digging up stuff. Not sure why. And Roderick, good day to you. I've flown to Schiphol a few times and never get tired of seeing it. Well, in that case, you're at the right address over here, mate. Welcome to the show. And welcome to everybody else who has joined us in the meantime. Arrivals at Schiphol Airport today. At the moment, parallel arrivals in progress. SkyTeam livery, Embraer 190 from KLM arriving from Nuremberg, going to center. Got a KLM 737, or at least a Transavia 737 flying for KLM, a rental, returning from Dublin. It's one with the current livery from Transavia, so don't get confused. This is very much a KLM flight 934. Flight time 58 minutes. And that is nominal. Now, this particular airplane began flying in March 2001, meaning it is 22 and will be turning 23 in 2 months from now. Or maybe even 1 month from now. It's almost the end of January already. Ja, die Daniel, goedemorgen. Gaat lekker hoor. Met jou ook. Doing fine. It's a bit cloudy, but the clouds are mostly high clouds. Also, we're nicely able to see departures to the north that had departed from runway 24, passing overhead every now and then. It is set to rain later in the day, but last time I checked, it's probably going to begin raining later in the afternoon over here, and well after the A380 has landed. The A380 from Emirates is expected just before 1 p.m. local time. Local time, you can see in the top left corner in the ticker, or right left of the ticker. Next airplane to Polderbaan is going to be the Embraer 175 arriving from Brussels. One of the short flights KLM still operates. Also Düsseldorf, Amsterdam. I think those are the two shortest flights that are international. KLM flight 1724. Flight time 31 minutes, 89 nautical miles. It is really a small distance, particularly for an airplane. 6-year-old airplane, first flight June 2017. We were also able to see the airplane behind it, top left quadrant of the field of view. That is Iceland Air Flight 506, a Boeing 737 MAX 8 arriving from Reykjavik. Now I was hearing Sally the seagull somewhere over there, not seeing her right away, but she was making a ruckus a little bit, demanding some attention. There we go. In the meantime, traffic to center also coming this way. 737 KLM arriving from Aalborg. And it also looks like the police is returning over the cycling path from the north. Iceland Air Flight 506 is up next, arriving from Reykjavik, MAX 8. Flight time 2 hours 43 minutes, that is par for the course approximately. 2.5 hours to 3 hours. The airplane is 4 years old. The first flight was in June 2019. Right, our next airplane to Polderbaan is going to be KLM Flight 1198, arriving from Stavanger. You can see bits of blue here and there, so it's not too bad. Looks a bit gloomy, but it definitely is going to stay dry, and when you zoom in and you don't see those bits of blue, it can warp your perception of how gloomy it is. This is KLM Flight 1198 arriving from Stavanger, Embraer 175, flight time 1 hour and 16 minutes so far. The airplane is 7 years old, first flight January 2017. Embraer 190 behind it. It is the influx of narrow bodies, the KLM Embraers, both to center and to this runway. E2 Embraer arriving from Munich, and an Embraer 190 arriving from Hanover on the glide slope for center. Okay, first time I'm seeing an airplane wobble a little bit. Winds have been very calm today so far. Also, windmills in the background are spinning. Then again, they do start spinning already when there's ever so slightly a breeze. Can remember a butt shot in the making. Now I'm happy to report that I see a 777 coming to the Polderbaan. KLM Flight 706 arriving from Rio de Janeiro, now number 2. We'll be following the Embraer 190 arriving from Southampton, that is now the number 1. This is KLM Flight 918 arriving from Southampton, Embraer 190, flight time 49 minutes, 15-year-old airplane, first flight January 2009. Airplane in the background is KLM Flight 702, 777-200 arriving from Rio de Janeiro. Nice wave. Right, more SkyTeam liveries coming this way. KLM Flight 1822, 737-900, returning from Berlin. However, we are going to turn back to the 777 that is coming to Polderbaan. KLM Flight 706 arriving from Rio de Janeiro. 17-year-old airplane, first flight February 2006. Alright, Embraer 190 coming this way, and after that an Airbus A330-200 from KLM, arriving from Minneapolis. More Embraers coming in, returning home. This is KLM Flight 1188 arriving from Bergen, an Embraer 190. And another one of those airplanes is coming this way on Polderbaan. KLM Flight 986 arriving from London City. At least... Oh. quite a lot of activity going on the other side of the runway this morning. Now in the meantime, KLM flight 986 is approaching the runway, arriving from London City. Embraer 190, flight time 35 minutes, the airplane 10 years old, first flight November 2013. And the A330 is over there behind it. Is that a third airplane lining up behind it? I think it is. Right, well, it is slowly but surely getting a bit more cloudy. Then again, there are also still some openings. Don't think there's substantial rain expected for this afternoon, just more of a continuous drizzle. We're going to stay dry at least until the A380 has arrived, and the plan is to stick around until then. The next airplane that you now are seeing is KLM flight 656. It is a Airbus A330-200 arriving from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Flight time 7 hours and 19 minutes. The airplane is 18 years old. The first flight was in July 2005. Now, it is nearly 11:40. That is normally around the time that runway changes take place. Might be that we are going back to a 2 outbound runway, 1 inbound runway configuration. Looking at flight radar right now, I'm not seeing any airplanes just yet going to center anymore. Question is, has it already been confirmed officially on the website of LVNL? Let's have a quick look, shall we? So, current runway usage, let's refresh the page. It still indicates the same configuration. Not sure if that's going to be the case. Let's have another look at the weather. It is still CAV, no significant changes. Air pressure 1028 hectopascals. The temperature is 7 degrees Celsius, roughly 54 degrees Fahrenheit. 44 degrees Fahrenheit, apologies. And a 5-knot wind from 190 degrees. Hey, there is a bonus 747 coming this way. Cathay Pacific Cargo 747 will be departing from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Did not see that one coming, was not planned. There's a bonus 747 coming, and the A380 is now in Czech airspace and is still expected 5 minutes to 1 local time. Right. Now, Let me also quickly update the METAR with the ticker with the latest METAR. Missed the landing of an Embraer 175. Apologies for that. I know that's an airplane you don't see very often, and you would have loved to have seen it. Hey Paul, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. And Jinshin also says sorry so late. Well, better late than never. Guys, you missed the Apache helicopter that we saw pass by earlier in the stream. It was relatively in the, I think it was still in the first hour. Don't know exactly what time it was. We'll have to look that up once I'm done and timestamp it. But there was an Apache helicopter. Could get a nice close-up of it, including the gun below the cockpit. It was very well visible. And 3 or 4 747s already. I think 4, and there's a 5th or 4th. I lost count of how many Queens we've seen so far. I think it was 4. There's another one coming, arriving from Paris, and will be arriving within the hour. And of course the A380 also still underway. Let's see, this is an Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle. KLM flight 958, flown by German Airways. I'm also looking up. Flight radar says that there is a biz jet passing over, coming from Jersey, if that... I'm thinking we should be able to see it, unless... What is the altitude? 5,000 feet, we should be able to pick up on it. Cessna Citation will probably land on the Schiphol Oost runway, runway 22. It is now, according to flight radar, over the... Ah, got it. Such a small airplane. Luckily I have digital zoom enabled. No landing gear failures on this one by the looks of it. Just a pixel in the sky. Right, the second MAX 8 from Iceland Air is approaching from the north. This one with a purplish edge around the tail. And Rich, I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking. Hope the same goes for you, Betty. And Vinny, goedemorgen. Good morning. Now, Iceland Air Flight 500. The next airplane. Still quite far out. Aegean A321 arriving from Athens. Is it going to the Polderbaan? Indicating that the central runway has closed. Muzamil asks, what website did you use earlier? Well, I use different websites, so which one are you referring to? Rich asks if there are any 747s. Dude, there is one. I thought we had seen them all that were expected before the A380, but there is a surprise 747-400 at Charles de Gaulle that is coming this way. But it seems that it just has come alive on flight radar but not moving yet. So I'm not sure what time it's going to take off, but it probably won't take too long. I'm sticking around at least until the A380 has landed. I'm hoping that maybe the 747 will arrive before then. 12:56, so that is in an hour and 10 minutes from now. Has runway usage changed in the meantime? I think it has. Well, still a bit lagging. METAR is still the same. Updated that just now. In the meantime, the second Iceland Air Max 8 coming this way, and the A321neo arriving from Athens. Okay. That's lvnl.nl, Muzammil. That's the website of Air Traffic Control Netherlands and shows you the current runway usage. This is Iceland Air Flight 500 arriving from Reykjavik. Flight time 2 hours 40 minutes. Max 8, 5 years old. First flight March 2018. I am going to make an adjustment in the ticker in terms of runway usage. Seems that Polderbaan is once again the only runway being used for arrivals. Right, K2 also present. What's this van? Is that security? That is security, Securitas. And thank you, Paul, for sharing the URL. And apparently there's also an English version of the website. That's terrific. I didn't even know that. It shows you the current runway usage. If you want to have a look at the expected runway usage, there's also a website called Bezoekbus, which is, I think, only in Dutch. Typing it in the chat right now. If you go there, let me take you with me. Here you can go to verwacht baangebruik in Dutch. That means expected runway usage. If you click on that, there's the archive. This means this morning and this afternoon. Here you have the indicated time slots and runway usage for inbound and outbound. Now, mind you, this can vary in actuality if wind or weather changes, so it's just an expectation. Often it's right, but not 100%, so bear in mind. But if you want to know what runway usage will be like most likely in the upcoming hours, that is the website. You can have a look at that. Aegean A321neo arriving from Athens in the meantime. And I'm going to call it in the ticker, at least already, that center is closed for arrivals, and it's just 18 right that is now open. I think 18 left is probably going to reopen then. That is often what happens. 221 or 22. 2 runways open for arrivals and for departures. Now, they've closed the center runway, and in an hour from now the A380 is expected. that would nicely coincide with ATC reopening the center runway, the first airplane to arrive being the A380 then. So I'm not too sure about our chances of being able to see the A380 land on this runway today. Fingers crossed. Now there's also a website where you can have a look at the runway assignment once arriving airplanes have entered into Dutch airspace. Maybe someone can share that link for those who don't know it yet in the chat. It's a bit involved, you have to click on labels and only see the name of the runway in Dutch, so you have to know which runway is called what in Dutch. But it is possible. The A321 Neo arriving from Athens after having flown 3 hours and 45 minutes to get here. That also seems a bit longer than normal. In fact, that's almost longer than the airplanes having flown from, well, Istanbul. Is that? Well, no, I suppose that Athens is a bit... Is Athens further removed from Amsterdam than Istanbul? I'm not wondering. Now I'm just curious. Which destination is furthest removed from Amsterdam? Is that Athens or Istanbul? I'm inclined to say Istanbul, but now I'm not sure. Maybe equidistant. Istanbul is further away. Okay, right. So means that the Aegean took longer than the flights having arrived from Istanbul today. But Steven says there's barely any difference. Okay, well, still, airplanes arriving from that part of the world today seem to have longer flight times today than they normally have on average. With the airplanes arriving from Istanbul today so far having averaged 3.5 hours where they normally average around 3 hours. Not sure if they need to take detours or if there is so much headwind underway. Right, well, next airplane to arrive is a KLM Embraer 170, flight 1740, arriving from Luxembourg. 6-year-old airplane, first flight October 2017. Right, well, wind is picking up a little bit. Maybe you can pick it up on the mic as well. Once again, the water, no longer a flat mirror, but a little bit ripply. Then again, also still patches of blue over here in the sky, here and there. It does look a bit darker to the west, where more rain is going to come from later today. Seems that the seagulls have gone. Apparently not a lot of worms in the land over there, over here. Earlier in the week it was mayhem. So I guess that there are more worms in this part of the land than where the tractors are now driving. Right, Stephen informing us that the Cathay 747 is airborne now, estimated around 1 o'clock. Yeah. Well, if it is whichever of the two is going to be later, I'm going to stick around for both of them. Right, there is a 777-300ER arriving from Sao Paulo that is flying base north of us and also a bit to the west. I am not expecting that we can see it from over here, but it should be somewhere over there in the sky. I'm already scanning visually, but I think this is not, that's too far-fetched. We'll come in the vicinity soon enough. Right. John asks if I will be streaming next week Friday. Well, each time every one of you asks me, will you be streaming then and then? I have to give you the same answer. I don't know yet. Friday is a day that I normally go out to stream if the weather allows me to. First of all, I don't know if the weather will allow me to. Second of all, it's also the day before my departure for my ski trip, and I also have to prepare, so I'm not sure if I will have enough time to go streaming next week Friday. Maybe, maybe not. Don't count on it. I'm not too sure. Also depends on the weather. If Friday is going to be a very nice day and Thursday is going to be a very rainy day, then maybe I will pack my suitcase and prepare on Thursday and grab Friday to go out to live stream. So the answer is always the same. I don't know yet. And no, Musamel, I am not a pilot. Wish I were. But unfortunately, I am color vision deficient. Meaning that certain nuances between green and red I don't see well enough. So I'm deemed a danger in the air. Right, now, let's turn back to the glide slope. Somewhere over there, a 777 should be making its way over from the left. And I think I see it already. Looks like it overshot the glide slope just a little. Has to come back a bit. This is KLM flight 792, a 777-300ER, returning to Amsterdam from Sao Paulo, where this airplane departed from 10 hours and 15 minutes ago. SLDKJH measured the distances on Google Earth and can report to us that Istanbul, as the crow flies, is roughly 50 kilometers further from Schiphol than Athens. There you go. On a total of, what is it, 3,000 kilometers or so? 2,000? 2,000 probably. So that is a very minute difference. And good day back to Kaden, who is tuning in from Singapore. And Marcusian Aviation all the way from Malaysia. Awesome, a lot of people tuning in all the way from Southeast Asia. Welcome to the show. John says, I'm transiting through Amsterdam next Friday. Will shine my phone light on landing if on Polderbaan, just in case. That's always a good idea. There's always someone spotting, or often. If it's not me, then there's probably someone else filming you. Just make sure you're on. You have a right-hand window seat. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit more challenging to see the light. Right, 2210 for Istanbul kilometers and 2170 for Athens. Now we know it in detail. Thank you so much for taking the effort to find that out and report it back to us. Awesome. Ooh, nice. John flies in the front. 1 Foxtrot. Those are the best seats in the house. Well, if you are in that part of the airplane, we already had Yunus flying in Delta's business part. He lit 3 torches, so the bar has been raised, and if you're flying in the front, we expect more than just 1 lousy torch from you, John. Right, so this 777-300ER, returning from Sao Paulo, 10 hours and 18 minutes of flight time under its belt. In total, it has been flying for 11 years. First flight was in June 2012. Right, thanks for the update, Stephen, who says that LATAM Cargo 767 is estimated in 29 minutes from now. Nice little in-between before the grand finale of the 747 and the A380 that are expected just under an hour from now, or around an hour from now. If you just tuned in, welcome to the show. You missed an Apache helicopter in the beginning of the stream. Something that I think I saw before just once, only briefly. This time we were able to film it quite more as it passed along on the west side of us, back to the north. I think we've seen 4 747s. Unfortunately, the A340 had already landed early this morning, so not the entire quad squad that we are able to see today. But we are going to get compensated for that with an additional bonus 747 that is underway from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Expected around 1 o'clock, and shortly before 1 o'clock the Emirates A380 is also expected. Mind you, I'm not sure if the A380 is going to land on Polderbaan, the runway we are standing directly next to, or if it's going to land on runway center. Either way, we will be able to see it quite well from over here. There's a speck in the sky, and if you zoom in, you discern 2 landing lights. Oh, and okay, okay, John. Well, in that case, if it is in the city hopper, then you're excused, and one torch will do. I thought it was a heavy body, a wide body that you were traveling in, but in that case, a single torch will do. And Muzamil lived in Afghanistan, so has seen like 1,000 of the Apaches. Yeah, I mean, they're not too uncommon in the Netherlands. I mean, they do practice and train every now and then, and you do get to see them every once in a while. Chinook helicopters as well, and every now and then fighters. But in this part of the Netherlands, you rarely see them because there are no military bases really close by over here. They're all to the north or more land inward or to the south. Second airplane approaching the glide slope. That is number 190 arriving from Bremen. The first airplane that we are now seeing is Ryanair flight 2334 MAX 8 arriving from Malaga. Fireworks being set off behind me. Not sure if the mic picks that up, but if it doesn't now, it will. Question is, where is the bird controller? I think over there. With a bit of additional zoom. Oh, the window has closed. Firework display is over. Hey! Talking about bonus queens. Here's one departing to China. Yep, Suparna. So that's going to Nanjing or Hefei. Most likely. Missed the landing of Ryanair though. Wasn't a very loud landing to begin with. And Clip asks, does Schiphol not use bird chasing dogs anymore? Well, the K9 vehicle I haven't seen in a while. It's just K1 and K2, 3 and 4 thus far. And Evelyn says, oh, I saw this 747 one this morning when cycling to school. Yeah, it was early on its arrival. Now going back to China. Right, a couple of Embraers up next. The first to arrive is KLM flight 1754, arriving from Bremen, which is in the north of Germany and not far away from the Netherlands and Amsterdam. So 35 minutes of flight time. The airplane is 10 years old. First flight October 2013. And you can just make out in the top left quadrant the next airplane behind it. Hey there, Steve. Good morning. Steve just got in from work. Well, welcome to the show, mate. There is a grand finale that we are waiting for. 2 members of the Quad Squad, a bonus 747 arriving from Paris that is now underway, and the Emirates A380 is still expected a few minutes before 2-1. And I'm doing just fine over here. Nice calm day over here, not too warm, not too cold, not too windy. Right, well, K2. The driver had his eyes focused on what was happening to the right. Sally flying in to say hi. Sally the seagull, there she is. Now, looks a bit pixelated because of digital zoom. This would be the top of the optical zoom range. Is that a chopper? I'm hearing. Is that chopper over there? Police helicopter. Hardly any wind, so you can hear everything. The sound carries quite well. I'm not seeing any other helicopters in the vicinity, so it must have been this one that I was hearing. This is KLM flight 1546 arriving from Leeds. Yet another Embraer 190. Now, Captain Willie thus far always has been flying the Embraer 190s wherever we saw a big ass landing with a big ass wheelie. It was an Embraer 190 from KLM. It's been a while since we last saw him. Unfortunately, not the pilot flying on that airplane that passed by just now. Now, to switch it up, here's a 737-800 arriving from London Heathrow, KLM flight 1008. Flight time 36 minutes. 24-year-old airplane, first flight April 1999. The next airplane in the top left corner is going to be a Boeing A320 arriving from Barcelona. Okay, lights on the cycling path. What's that? That's the police. Alrighty, now the airplane that we are now looking at is Vueling flight 8309. It's an A320 arriving from Barcelona. Departed 1 hour and 54 minutes from there. The airplane is 16 years old. The first flight was in March 2007. And Duke Raoul, thank you so much for your kind words. I do the best I can. I've taken several precautions to make sure everything is working as smooth as possible, including fixating the tripod with wires into the ground so that it hardly moves when using the tripod panhandle. And indeed, Adrian, maybe with 2 cams pretty soon. My old cam that started making terrible noise when, well, zooming in and out, but also when not using the zoom at all at the moment, at a certain point. Turned it in for repairs. Just got notified by email yesterday that they are going to send it back to the store where I bought it from, having been fixed by Canon under the warranty apparently, because I did not get an invoice that I need to give permission for. So apparently it falls under warranty. Faster than expected. They told me you should expect 6 to 8 weeks of duration before you get the camera back. Almost makes you wonder, had I known this before, would I have purchased the XA60 then? Probably not, but then again, you never know for sure. Hindsight is always 2020. Hadi Art, goedemiddag. Or, yeah, it is afternoon over here. Gerrit, goedemiddag. And Monique, nee, I will end around. Rudolf. Officer Rudolf, goedemiddag. Happy New Year, man. Alles goed? Mooi man, werk ze. One of our members and one of my first subscribers, my second subscriber, Officer Rudolf, on patrol. Just saying hi. No, Monique, I'm going to stick around at least until 1 o'clock. The A380 and the bonus 747 are expected around then, and depending if there are a couple of heavies immediately after that, I'm going to stick around for that, but most likely going to wrap it up after that. Let's see, this is an Embraer 190 arriving from Humberside, KLM flight 1486. More Embraers, well, just one more Embraer behind it, and then it is an A330. I haven't seen a lot of Delta A330s today, have we? Something up that they have been grounded due to weather or something? For some reason I get the feeling that it is more quiet with heavies today than it normally is in morning streams. Might be just me. Squeaky brakes on an Embraer. Oh, and I think I was wrong. Yeah, I was too far zoomed out. I pressed on the wrong label. This was KLM flight 1060 arriving from Cardiff, and the Embraer 190 arriving from Humberside is up next. And wise words from your granny, indeed, hon. If you knew everything beforehand, you would be able to travel the world with a dime. Is that an official saying, or is that just a saying that she used to say? And Anton says, Piet the piloot, Frans the co-piloot. Okay. Piet and Frans. Right, Embraer 175, and then finally to switch it up, another heavy, an A330. And QJ asks about Captain Wheelie. We haven't seen him or her. Of course, we don't know if it is a him or her, but we haven't seen Captain Wheelie today so far. And indeed, very smooth landings so far. There's hardly any wind. You can see the reflection in the water of the Embraer 175. Has spider season begun again? There was a little spider on the left sleeve of my jacket. Blew it off. Saw it from the corner of my eye. KLM flight 1856, arriving from Düsseldorf, JD's hometown. Short flight, 32 minutes, 100 nautical miles. So, okay, now we know 100 nautical miles for Düsseldorf, and it was 89 for Brussels. So, Brussels is the nearest, the closest by. And 11 nautical miles further, as the crow flies, I'm assuming, is Düsseldorf. 33 minutes of flight, Embraer 175, 6 years old, first flight January 2017, and a butt shot coming in. And Hans Olaf Mork, good day to you, asking about the PHEZX. I think it landed on center earlier in the stream. I think we caught it, but it was coming in on center if I recall correctly. Now don't pin me down on it, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I saw it land. I think we saw it land on center earlier. Now, the KLM running gag again, flight number indicating a certain airplane type, but being flown on an airplane that is a different airplane type. This is KLM flight 767, not flown on a Boeing 767, but an Airbus A330. Coming back from Bonaire, flight time 8 hours 26 minutes, 11 years old, first flight January 2013. Now, Evelyn, if the weather is good Sunday, I am going to go out, so unless it is going to rain all day, count on me being here. Right, E2 time. We haven't seen a lot of them up close today. Then again, we also haven't seen a lot of Delta A330s. We are seeing a 3 airplane glide slope shot right now. And this is KLM flight 1780 coming this way, arriving from Hamburg. It is an E2 Embraer, flight time 42 minutes. 2-year-old airplane, first flight February 2021. And a massive big thank you to JD, who just now gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much for that, JD. If you are one of the recipients, don't forget to say Dankeschön, JD. And welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, those 5 new members. Be sure to use the custom emojis that are now at your disposal whenever you feel like it. Once again, thank you so much, JD, for 5 new members. Now, with all the other memberships that have already been gifted, I'm sure we are doing quite well on our way to a new emoji slot. The A330 on its way back to the main platform area. Also gives us a nice view of the windsock over there. No Viagra in the air today. And this airplane still has to taxi along the road of the road that is aligned with the trees all the way back to the main platform area. As you guys can see, there is a tower over here dedicated for inbound and outbound traffic to this runway. The main tower is over there. That's also where the terminal building is and the gates are. So there's always a 10 to 15 minute taxi at least for airplanes having landed on Polderbaan back to the gate. Shamrock flight 604, Aer Lingus A320 coming in from Dublin. I was too late with clicking on the label to see the flight time, but that is normally around an hour. Dublin. 14-year-old airplane, first flight February 2009. Now I'm wondering, is the A380 already approaching Dutch airspace? And if it has already entered Dutch airspace, has it already been assigned to a runway? And if so, which runway? The question we're all waiting for to get the answer from Irish butt shot, and goes well with an Irish shot of whiskey, which you can take when you see the glide slope shot like this. Passing traffic left to right, from left to right. 3 airplanes visible already. This is Top Air Portugal arriving from Lisbon, A320 flight 670. The airplane 14 years old, first flight October 2009. Hard to look into the cockpit with those dark windows. And also a Portuguese butt shot coming in. Oh, TNT! An explosive flight. Right, Pepto Games says the A380 is near Dortmund, so still over German airspace. We'll have to wait a bit longer before we know what runway it is going to be assigned to. Fingers crossed. We have been quite lucky lately. Has our luck run out already or not? Now, this is a trade airplane flying for Croatia. But the livery says Trade Air, and it Looks nice, at least there's a bit of color on the tail. Otherwise, mostly white. Flying under the moniker of Croatian Airlines Flight 450, arriving from Zagreb, this A320, now having touched down after 2 hours and 5 minutes. And stranger, you are absolutely right. TNT Post was a parcel service. We used to have Post NL for the envelopes, the regular post and the regular mail, and the parcels was TNT Post, and then they merged, I believe, into what is now called Post NL, and that's basically all heritage of what used to be PTT, but that stood for Post Telecom and something else. It was back then a government organization that not only had monopoly on post and parcel services in the Netherlands, but also the telecom. Now that has been split years ago already. The telephone operations is KPN, and mail and parcels is now PostNL. But you're absolutely right that it did used to be called TNT Post. Oh yeah, thank you Bart. Post, telegraaf, telefoon. Right, and a Transavian buttshot. Can we call it that? If something is from Transavia, call it Transavian. Right, JD signing off again by the looks of it. Thank you so much for joining, JD. Happy that you were able to find some time to join us live. And hope to see you on the next one. Right, moped coming this way on the cycling path. And in the meantime, lot flight 263 Embraer 170 arriving from Warsaw. Touching down after an hour and 55 minutes of flight. This Embraer, 18 years old. 2 more mopeds following on the cycling path. .50cc moped scooters. Four-stroke by the sound of it. .18-year-old airplane, first flight February 2005. Now, let's quickly turn back. Again, LATAM Cargo, operated by LATAM Cargo Colombia, arriving from Miami, Florida. LATAM Cargo flight 1504, Boeing 767-300 ER. 8 hours and 26 minutes underway to get from Florida to where it is right now. 15-year-old airplane, first flight May 2008. Makes me wonder, when did they make the last 767? In what year was that? Surely this must be one of the last 767s ever produced then, or they are still making them. Okay, did not know that, Stephen. I really thought that the 767 was also out of production, but I guess they weren't. Hey, Jim Cathay's father, good to see you again. Right, I thought I heard a bird right of me, but I guess I was wrong. The land is still getting worked on. Now, murmuration on the move. Was actually on my way with the camera to point it to the second tractor, but then I saw this instead. The second tractor being surrounded by a lot of seagulls. Wormfest continuing over there. Something out of a Hitchcock movie. More big birds. This is MasKargo. The second MasKargo A3. This one is an A330-200. We also saw an A300-600 already. This is MasKargo flight 6124, arriving from Doha. Flight time 7 hours and 9 minutes. 12-year-old airplane, first flight August 2011. No, wait! Shit! My bad. My bad. This is the first MasKargo, the other one was MNG. How could I forget? MNG, son. Hans Olaf says, my local airport is Bergen. KLM flies every day to Bergen and Stavanger. Absolutely. We see them go out there and returning from there very regularly over here. Right. Bonus Queen, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The airplane that we did not expect, but we still get to see. It is Cathay Pacific Cargo, flight 2038, arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle, where it left from 45 minutes ago. This is a Boeing 747-400 freighter ER, 15 years old, first flight August 2008. In the meantime, Bart is saying that the A380 is descending. Is it already in Dutch airspace? Has it already been assigned to a runway? Unfortunately, audio technically very subdued landing. Right. Now, if you like queens like this, be sure to drop a like. If you have not so already, if you want to stay updated of upcoming live streams, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. You're not doing that for me, but it is handy for yourself, so that when I announce a new stream, you get notified. And if you have the time for it, you can join us for more live streaming action over here at Schiphol Airport. Now, the grand finale is still ahead of us. Still waiting for the Emirates A380. Our dessert for today. And in the meantime, some light snacks in between. Starting with KLM flight 1986, this Embraer 175 arriving from Basel. Touching down after an hour and 11 minutes of flight time. This airplane has been flying since July 2017, making it 6 years old. Alright. Airplane before the A380 goes to the Zwanenburgbaan to center, so probably the A380 will go to that runway as well. Apparently not yet officially confirmed, but soon will be then. In the meantime, a very big thank you to John, who also just now gifted 5 memberships, 5 more new members to the great number that we already have. Thank you so much, John. If you are one of the recipients, don't forget to thank John for the membership, and be sure to spam us with the custom emojis that are now at your disposal. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge, and thank you so much, John, for making that happen. This is a 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from Atlanta, Georgia, KLM flight 622. A 3-year-old airplane. First flight December 2020. Right. Next up, Transavia flight 5132 arriving from Barcelona. And that is a 2 airplane glide slope shot. Is there more visible? Don't think so. 2 737-800s, the first one being from Transavia arriving from Barcelona, the second one being from KLM arriving from Frankfurt. A380 definitely going to Zwanenburgbaan, runway 18 center. So we are going to see the reopening of the center runway for parallel arrivals once again shortly. A380 has now been assigned to the center runway. That's okay. I mean, you guys already saw it with digital zoom. On top of the optical zoom, we can zoom in quite substantially. And with a behemoth like the A380, that won't even be necessary. Visibility luckily good enough. We will be able to see it well in advance when it is on the glide slope already. So we've got you covered over here at AMS Live. Well, the work van and an electric scooter on the cycling path passed by. You might have picked up on it just now. Also departures once again to the north from runway 24, passing overhead. Another Embraer probably on its way to a Scandinavian destination. Alright, first up, KLM Flight 1766, 737-800 arriving from Frankfurt. Behind it, Air France Flight 1640 arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle, and behind it, although I don't believe yet visible, Embraer 190 returning from London City. And Stephen, thank you. The outbound airplane we saw just now going to Billund. Oh, and the third airplane indeed visible. So that is a 3 airplane glide slope shot just about. Zoom out a bit, makes it a bit easier to see. And hey there, Saad, who is tuning in from Saudi Arabia. Welcome to the show, mate, and all other viewers who have joined in the meantime as well. Welcome to the show. If you just tuned in, then you might have missed 4 or 5 747s already, and we also saw an Apache helicopter earlier this morning. Now, returning visitors will know by now that after I'm done streaming, I always make a list of the highlights with timestamps to include in the comments below the stream. So if you want to see the highlights that you might have missed, be sure to tune in later. And a couple hours after I'm done streaming, I will have added the highlights of today's stream in the comments with timestamps so that you can skip the things you might not be so much interested in. Just go to the highlights of today's show. Now, we're waiting for the dessert of today, the Emirates A380. It is in Dutch airspace already. It has been assigned to the wrong runway, unfortunately. It will be going to center. Runway 18 center, that is. We are currently situated next to runway 18 right. Which means that pretty soon parallel arrivals are going to commence. Now that's pretty doable for us in terms of still being able to see the A380 with a bit of additional digital zoom. We will do perfectly fine. Visibility is good, that's the most important thing. In fact, as you guys can see, still, even though it is mostly overcast with some higher clouds, there are still some thinner areas where you can see bits of blue in between. Next up, KLM Flight 988 arriving from London City. It is an Embraer 190, and behind it is going to be a 737 arriving from Manchester. At 10 o'clock, far left, already visible. Dave says, we the chatters are obviously the highlight of all these streams. Yeah, of course you are. Making it hard to make a summary. So, because that makes it a bit more difficult, I will focus on the highlights, the flying highlights. those with engines and wings. If you really want to see the highlight of each stream, you would have to see it from front to back. And don't skip anything and have a look at the chat, most importantly. Well, gluren bij de buren, as we say in Dutch. Spy over at the neighbors. See what they're doing. I think the first airplane to center might be approaching. I see an Embraer 190 on flight radar returning from Stuttgart. So that looks like it is going to the center runway. Meanwhile, KLM flight 1074 coming this way. 737-800. Returning to Amsterdam from Manchester. Departed from Manchester 41 minutes ago. Another one, another millennial, another one from 1999, 24 years old. First flight was in August in that year. Also another outbound airplane having departed from runway 24, making its way to the northwest of us. KLM 737s. One going out, another one coming in. Net score 0. We did get to see one first officer waving while we were zoomed in. It was quite nice to see. I also waved back. Helps for me to see everything with additional zoom. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see the pilots waving back. Watching this on my 3.5-inch screen on my camera, you guys will probably see more details than I do over here. Now it's still overcast, so I don't have a lot of reflections. If it is a bit more bright, that even makes it harder to see details. But the additional digital zoom does allow me to see if they are waving or not, and allows me to wave back, provided it is not too windy. Otherwise, following airplanes will become a bit of a mess. Right, so the first airplane to runway center, Embraer 190, KLM flight 1870, arriving from Stuttgart. Behind it is an E2 Embraer arriving from Billund, KLM flight 1344, and there is another Speedbird A319 arriving from London Heathrow. That is now lining up on the glide slope of the Polderbaan. Oh, got distracted. Hearing a siren behind me. Trying to locate where it is coming from, because I think I should be able to see it, but I don't. So let's focus back on the airplane then. But that is why there are two pilots in the cockpit, Adrian. One to fly the airplane, the other one is to do the fun stuff such as waving and other nonsensical things. I was hearing a siren somewhere in that vicinity, but didn't see anything. Not hearing anything anymore, so back to the action. Got another airplane going to center first, before the first airplane to the Polderbaan has come by close enough for us to go to that. KLM flight 1344 arriving from Billund, E2 Embraer 195. Departed from Billund 48 minutes ago. Brand new airplane according to flight radar, meaning it is less than a year old, and this particular airplane began flying in June last year. And a big Wi-Fi hump on the fuselage just behind the wings. It does look proportionally bigger on this airplane type than on other airplane types. Does that mean that they have extra fast internet on board? Who knows? I'm even hearing the whale sounds that it makes, that the engines of the airplane make. Bit of brightness looking to the south. This is what it looks like looking to the west. Looking to the east and looking up, there's even a bit of a contrail vaguely visible, although I believe that the airplane itself is either already behind me or further that way, out of view. Here more bits of blue, so it's not all gloom and doom over here, although when you are fully zoomed out in looking to the north, you might be inclined to think it is more gloomy than it actually looks in real life over here. I see that the Ultimate has also returned back home. Good to see you, Alvin. Hope all is well. Hope you've had a good day, mate. Now, this is the Speedbird A319 Flight 434 arriving from London Heathrow. 22 years old, first flight May 2001, and there's a 777-200 arriving from Guayaquil behind it, now on the glide slope and next to land on this runway. Hey there, Sarah, good to see you. Tuning in from Boston. A very good morning to you. Up early. If you just tuned the show, welcome first of all, and secondly, you missed 3 or 4 747s and an Apache helicopter, something that we don't see very often over here in this part of the country. If you're strapped for time, do tune in later, a couple of hours after I'm done streaming, and I will have highlighted all of these highlights with timestamps in a comment below the stream, so you can go straight to the highlights of today. Right, another big bird is coming. This is KLM flight 755 arriving from Guayaquil in Ecuador, which at some point used to be the safest country in Latin America. Now, don't think that is. It is that. I don't think that it is anymore these days. They have spiraled down in terms of safety quite rapidly. Guayaquil, Ecuador. This airplane left from 10 hours and 31 minutes ago. 777-200 ER. 19 years old, first flight January 2005. Saudia Dreamliner flying parallel to this airplane, so we might switch, we might make a transition to that once this airplane has landed. Let me take this moment to zoom out a little bit, and I see that the Emirates A380 is already flying base for the center runway. Zooming out a little further. Does look like after the A380 a lot of narrow bodies are coming in, so I do believe I am going to make the A380 the last airplane of today. Right, on its way to the center runway. This is Saudia flight 215, the 7879 Dreamliner arriving from Jeddah, where this airplane left from 6 hours and 9 minutes ago. This airplane is 6 years old. First flight was in May 2017, and I'm looking to the left to see if I can see anything resembling an A380 already, but I don't just yet, so I think we will have time to see this one actually land. A380 still flying base and now turning final. If you look at the wings, you can clearly see the curvature, the flex. You can see it with other airplane types as well, triples as well, but it's of course more pronounced with those flexible wings on the Dreamliner. Also, if those spoilers go up, once they have touched down, you can immediately see them drop down. Still upward facing, but not as curved anymore as when they are airborne. I'm actually hearing the reversers. I'm not sure if the mic picks it up. Departures still take place from runway 24. Also see that the Dash 8100 is airborne, the one from the Coast Guard. Question is, can we see it anywhere? The answer is, so far I'm not seeing it, so I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it, because I do believe I see the A380 already. No, that's the glide slope for the Polderan. Need to look. Where do I need to look? Let's see visually, where did I see it? Come on. Okay, that's a bit more to that side. Bingo. Right, now full 400 digital, 400 times digital zoom enabled. Makes it pixelated AF. I'm not going to keep it in that far zoom range, but we are able to see it quite well. Here it is. The last airplane of the day, Emirates A380 flight 147. Standard livery today, the old standard livery. Our members already have access to the latest iteration with the ribbon tail. It's the A380-800, the daily flight between Dubai and Amsterdam. On average, when they are at this point in the sky. They have flown 6.5 hours today. Looks like there was a bit more headwind. We also saw that with the flights from Athens and Istanbul. Nearly half an hour longer than normal. And so too this A380 has now been flying for 7 hours, half an hour longer than on average would have been the case. The airplane is 8 years old. Its first flight was in the year 2016 in January, so it turned 8 this year. This month, I should say. Just for reference, it is still quite far away. This is fully zoomed out again. You could also see that there was an airplane approaching the polderbaan, so we might hear that in the meantime while the camera is focused on the A380 that is now back in view again. Harry asks if the water is frozen. Well, you might think it is frozen, but that isn't frozen. We have double-digit temperatures in Celsius already. It's just wind still, or nearly wind still today, which is why the water looks like a mirror. Right, well, I could hear the spooling down and the reverser quite well. I hope you guys pick up on it as well. Right, now, folks, that was the last airplane for today. I am going to wrap up for now. I'm not sure if the weather tomorrow is going to allow me to go out again. I thought there was more precipitation expected. I think tomorrow is going to be the worst day in terms of precipitation of the entire upcoming weekend. I will have another look. If the weather will allow me to go out, I will. If not, then I hope to go out again on Saturday, weather permitting. For now, a big thank you to everyone who has joined us here today. If you like what you saw and you haven't done so already, don't forget to drop a like. It helps to spread this content to other aviation enthusiasts such as yourself. If you want to stay informed of upcoming live streams, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you get notified whenever I announce a new stream. Big thanks to everybody who became a member and the many donated memberships, in particular Jackie with no less than 50 gifted memberships. That was totally unnecessary, mate. Thank you so much. I hope everybody that received a gifted membership doesn't forget to thank the donator. Again, thank you all for joining me here today. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for the PayPal donations. If you purchase something from the merch store, thank you for that. Your support is overwhelming and the channel is nothing without you guys. Thanks again. Moderators also for keeping the stream safe, friendly and accessible. Hope to see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe and see you soon. Bye bye.